Hello, welcome to my daily watercolor practice. Today I will be practicing using salt in watercolor. We are on day 50. I'm doing these exercises every day practicing something different. I filled another sketchbook already, so if that sounds interesting, check it out. I have lots of videos like that. Just to give you an idea, I don't kind of prepare for these exercises. I mean, I do prepare a little bit, but I never really like paint ahead. So whatever is going to happen is going to happen in real time. So I don't even know like the results and stuff like that. So I have been using salt in watercolor for quite some time, and I've done other exercises with it. One of them was swatching salt because different colors react a little bit differently. Obviously, there are other things that affect how salt reacts, like how wet or how dry the wash is, and how like the timing of when you actually add the salt. But there are some colors that don't really react with it. Most of them do, but there are some that just don't. So I would recommend you to do a swatch like that if you haven't done it yet. But in today's video, I want to focus on where to use salt because I use it a lot, but I never really am sure where to add it, I guess. So today's exercise will be I will paint poppy, two poppies really, one here, and in one of those paintings I will add salt to the petals, and in the other one I will add salt to the background, and I will see if that will kind of give me an idea of which one I like better. It might sound simple doing something like that and almost like, what's the point? Sometimes when I'm just even like, starting the exercise, I'm kind of wondering, is it even worth it? But then I remember these exercises really help me, especially when I go back to them. Sometimes it's just like, it helps you remember when, doing something. Is just way more helpful than just reading about it or even watching a video. Speaking of which, I do hope you grab your paints and brushes and paint with me as well. Just paint anything you fancy. It's not going to be a like very pretty poppy. I'm just kind of dabbing paint, not really thinking much. I haven't prepared my salt. Hang on, it's right here. Right, it's a little bit messy. I'm just using normal table salt, nothing fancy. But I just realized I need my little rubber to hold this down. Where is my rubber? I lost my rubber. Oh, there it is. Right, because I lost my clip too. I am a bit messy, which is, I think, pretty clear by now. But anyway, right, we're not too late. I can still add salt. Right, so what I know about salt and what I've read about salt, I generally notice that people often use it in the background as a kind of like a supporting technique, I guess. But I do want to figure out for myself whether actually I prefer to use it, because I think it's quite striking, right? And so it does seem to me like something that is just nice to use as like a focal point. I'm just going to add a little bit of dark. Right, I think I'm gonna have to leave this poppy like that because it's very flat. I know it's very boring, but I want to focus on the salt technique in here. I don't want to like add layers or make it fancy. I'm literally just gonna leave it like that because I just want to see which version I like better. That's another thing about the videos I make. I try not to really worry too much about making pretty paintings. It's more about testing things and comparing them rather than doing something pretty, which is kind of freeing, I actually quite like making ugly paintings for you, for your enjoyment. It's quite freeing, honestly. Right. So now, very boring poppy. I'll have to let it dry a little bit before I add the center, because I don't want it to bleed too much, just like I waited here. And then once this dries, I'll just prepare the mix. Once this dries a little bit more, I'll add a wash, and I'll leave a wash here as it is, and then I'll add salt to the background in here. But again, actually, I don't know if I wait for it to dry or not. It doesn't really matter. It could be wet in wet, wet and dry. But my main thing I want to figure out is where will it look better. Right, this might bleed a little bit. I'm try not to let it bleed too much. No. Okay. Don't think should really call it a poppy. It's just some random flower. But anyway. Right, so I think I'm already thinking, because I'm using the salt for my main subject, it's kind of constraining what else I can do. Normally I would add some more colors, more layers, things like that. But if you're using salt as a main thing, it's kind of, you don't really have many techniques left, I guess. So I think that's really what's the biggest constraint right now for me. But anyway, let's just do a bit of a wash. A blue wash. I'm okay with it to bleed a bit. I do like painting fairly loose. This really is one of the ugliest poppies I've ever painted. I'm not even gonna add the stem, I don't think, because that's not what I'm trying to achieve really. It doesn't really matter about how pretty the painting is. Okay, so with this one, now I will add salt to the background. Oh, I've got a hair on my brush. Right, let's prepare the salt. Put something in it. Messy, messy. Right. So I'm going to start adding the salt as I go. I feel like I'm doing it a little bit too dark, but it is what it is. Now I completely flooded it with water. It's fine. Right. I think this background is better, but this will be better with the salt, hopefully. So the thing with salt, it takes some time to react, so we'll have to wait for it to dry. And we'll get back to it when it's dry. And then after that, there is another thing that I want to practice. This one will be more fun and free and not as technical, I guess. I've got this book of inspiration. Let me just move this. I've got this book of like paintings that I like, that inspire me. And I have also wrote down what it is that I like in different like styles and things like that. And there is of course salt in here. I really love this one. Very nice. But I also like how these are done. So I think what I'm going to do is just literally use some washes of color and add some salt to it. Maybe do some trees as well. But I just really like how lovely and loose they are. And I'll literally just use this kind of rugged edge. Leave it white like that. I really like that. So this is my next exercise. But that's once the rest is dry. Right, so before we move on to the next exercise, I just want to compare the results. And oh my goodness, how dreadful this one looks. It's quite terrible, isn't it? this is so much better. So yeah, clearly I will definitely not be using salt for, what have I got here, for like focal point or like a, you know, main subject, I guess. Let's just take the tape off. Another thing it might be worth testing is how to use salt with other techniques, because I could have tried adding wet in wet and adding a bit more dimension to this, to the petals, but I really just don't know how I could have improved this. It's quite bad, isn't it? And I do like for the petals to be quite like I like using tissue to remove some paint. I think it creates this nice texture, but for the salt it's just, I don't know, it just doesn't work. Anyway, let's move on to the next one. Now I am rushing a little bit because I need to leave in like 10 minutes. So let's just do something fun and simple, and mostly just for the sake of it. I think I'm going to be a bit weird, and I'm going to mix some brown with some blue just because. So I'm using this sort of idea to create this like a rugged edge, but I'm using strange colors. Just random. And because I mix the colors, it's kind of creating this nice brown and dark texture, like color variation. But I do want to add a little bit of blue, even though I don't think it's going to work. Maybe just do some of it. And then I want to soften the rest just with water. I think I've not really been quick enough. This already kind of is drying. Okay, and let's just add water, salt. Right, I am rushing a little bit, so that's probably not the best when you're trying to practice. But I really like this idea of doing this like a rugged edge. Instead of actually describing the ground, the foreground, just doing this indication just with a hard edge. Okay, I'm just now softening with a white brush, and I will add a little bit more paint just to darken this area. There we go, let's try this. And maybe this time I will mostly add salt to this paint here and leave the background alone, just to kind of indicate maybe some sort of trees or foliage. Now I'll have to wait for this to dry to actually fully show the effect. I already like what it's doing here. Right, we'll be back when it's dry. This one is still drying, but I need to go pick my daughter up from school. So I'm afraid I'm gonna have to rush through it a little bit. But I was thinking about using salt in the foreground and in the background. And it does seem to me that salt texture has more of a, creates more of a soft edge. Like if you, and kind of like this misty feeling. If you compare it like this sort of texture with the hard edge of this, usually we would use a hard edge in like not in front of the painting, but like at the foreground basically, because that's where we want to add details and things like that. So I really can't gather my thoughts today, but basically it does confirm to me that yeah, salt is probably best used for backgrounds. Anyway, sorry for a bit of a rushed video. I hope you enjoyed it though. I especially liked doing this little landscapes. I think I'm probably going to do some more once I have a little bit more time, but for now I need to go, and I hope I'll see you tomorrow where I'll be practicing. Let me just put this back down because this is gonna get messed up. Wednesday. Oh, Wednesday is for inspiration. So tomorrow I will be, what am I doing? Oh, oh yes, I will be using my lovely inspiration book that I did in another video. I just printed some, very simple, really, just printed pictures that I liked. And so I will be using it for inspiration, but I will be trying to turn some of those paintings that I like and make them a bit more surreal, and adding some surreal elements. So we will see how that goes. And yeah, have fun and happy painting, and hopefully see you tomorrow.